So we're refinishing the Panasports here. The first step, the whole process is to split the rim into its three pieces. I marked the barrel before I ended up undertaking this crazy project. I'll just pull this off here. I marked the barrel and the lip because I wanted to see where it was. So when I put it back together, it's in the exact spot. I had a set of rims back in Miami when I was in high school that I popped the faces out of them, and I couldn't get the damn faces back in. And I realized they were kind of oblong shaped and not totally circular, so you had to actually fit it in, as marked. And so that's what I tried to do here. Yeah, I'm pulling all these bolts out. Got my marked bag. I'm gonna soak these in degreaser when probably on Saturday when I get to the shop and sit there and scrub them all off. They got a ton of dirt. They're not rusted. They're good. They're plated. So just put them in degreaser and get them all nice and cleaned up, so I can get ready to reuse them. I know a lot of people don't like reusing bolts on three-piece wheels. I don't really care right now. I'm going to use them in torque to spec. I have some spares, so hopefully everything goes to plan. As long as I clean out the threads and have this all nice and cleaned off, I think it should be fine. The cool thing I discovered is I found aircraft remover in England. That's aircraft remover in England. It works exactly the same as the shit you buy at Advanced Auto Parts or AutoZone, which is awesome. I was able to strip off this, most of this inner surface pretty easily, just bubbled straight up, which is cool. It was already stripping itself away, which is why I'm getting rid of it. So I'm going to take all the paint off the inner barrel, take all the wheel weights off, and I'm going to spray it clear. So clean it, degrease it, scrub it, and probably do a light sand and then just spray it clear on it. I don't need it polished or anything like that. So it'll look okay. You're probably not going to see it. It's just more for my OCD, I guess, in a way. And the lips are relatively good. There's no rash. I mean, there's some small marks and stuff, but I'd be really happy to roll with these for sure. We're a couple of weeks later here on the wheel refurbishment and building. Now I'm actually putting them all together. Skipped a bunch of steps. I'm going to show you exactly what I did, and we're going to assemble the last two rims so that we can then fit some tires to them and put them on the car. So here you have it. I built the two rear Panasport G7 C5C2s. Those are not torqued, the bolts, but I used an impact gun to put them all the way in. I got a torque wrench right here, ready to go. I'm just debating the torque setting actually. I'm not really certain if I'm going to go with the torque setting that was told to me, because I think it's a little high for a three-piece wheel from what I've read online for other rims, BBSs, OZs, and stuff like that. But I wanted to show you as I build the two front rims what the process looks like to put a Panasport three-piece wheel back together. So here I have a center. It's been repainted. So you can see it's quite textured on the surface because the jackass at the paint shop, after we agreed on a price, decided to paint it rather than tell me that he couldn't fill the face of this for the agreed price. He didn't look at all four faces. He only gets to look at two, and then he saw this one that had some porosity in it and kind of a poor molded surface. After I stripped everything off, I sandblasted the shit out of these, and he's like, well, instead of adding some filler and backing it down, he was just going to spray it. So this one looks kind of textured. The good thing is from about a meter away you can't fucking tell, so it's all good. I got my bolts, the hardware with washers that I took out when I initially disassembled it. I haven't done anything to them. I got a little bucket nylon brush and some degreaser. I'm going to try to get in on the bolts, just to clean them up a little bit. I have some spares as well. Then I have the sealing spacer. This goes in between the two faces. I'm pretty sure this is unique to the Panasport design. I haven't seen BBS uses this or other wheel manufacturers, but it's just an aluminum disc with a bunch of holes in it, and it's got a molded rubber seal that basically acts as a silicone seal on the rim and that's that sits between the two. I have my inner barrel, so I sandblasted all the paint and shit off the inner barrel. It was quite a bit of crap. It had wheel weights on it. I ripped those off and took all the double-sided tape, brought them down to bare metal, roughly, and then I sprayed 3 coats of this kind of grayish, battleship gray silver paint that I bought off Amazon to be able to, have a decent inner surface. It's nothing spectacular. Two of these barrels, I must say, had cracks in them. One was definitely cracked when I purchased it. The other of the two that had a crack, I'm pretty sure cracked as soon as I disassembled them. I'm almost positive, but anyways, I had them welded back up. You can't tell that they were welded. I mean, the guy did a great job. Unfortunately, I hear that these crack quite a bit, so I'm looking forward to the next weld job. That's why I wanted to pick a simple paint color for the inside and not like seal it with clear or powder coat or do some other crazy shit, because I suspect that these are going to crack at some point. Any of the 4, I want to be able to have it repaired, take the spray paint I bought, and just spray it and put it on there, so you won't really notice any major change. So that's that, and then I have my lips. So these lips, I'm gonna pop this one open here. Basically, the lips had a coating on them. They were quite dirty. They weren't really polished. These lips had a clear coat. It wasn't anodized, and I kind of cheated. Yeah, I cheated. So what I did is I brought these to a metal polisher here in the Oxford area called Pro Polishers, and I paid him a little bit of money, and he polished these lips, and I must say they look freaking great. There's some machining marks. You can kind of see, if you really get down on it, you could see some it's like buffing wheel marks. There's some divots, things like that. There's some witness marks for the washer still left there in the bottom face, but I mean, these are 9 out of 10 for sure. They're gonna do me proud. And he took a lot of the rash out. There was a rash on a couple of them. I mean, there's no rash now. It's really impressive. So yeah, let's start putting this one together here. Okay, first step of the whole process is to put the face inside of the inner barrel. The last 2 times I did this, I've just been kind of eyeballing it, lining up the holes. Hasn't been totally perfect. I line it here on the little carpet I got. Just kind of eyeball it, make sure I line them about, get them just about right, and then I slowly lift the barrel and I whack it around with this rubber mallet that I got to bash it in. It's quite a tough fit. So. Okay, the first step in the whole process is to put the face into the inner barrel of the rim. And then, as I line it up and I get the holes, roughly about right on top of each other, I start tapping the back of the face with this rubber mallet to wedge it into the barrel. It's actually quite a tight fit. So I'm going to start that process now, and I'll show you the next step. All right, so this one's a little different. A couple things I noticed. The face went into this one very easily, which means it also drops out very easily. So right now, it's kind of held suspended in air by that sealing disc. So I'm gonna have to probably put 1 or 2 bolts in just to hold it in place and try to crank them up as tight as I can, just to be able to put the rest of the bolts in without the whole thing just falling apart as I'm assembling it. So I kind of need 2 hands for this operation. So I'm gonna let you guys go for a quick bit. One thing I did notice though is the valve is at a different spot than it was on those 2, which I kind of thought was a bit unusual. So I think I might rotate it. I had marked the barrel, so I'm gonna rotate the face so the valve lines up with the other 2 in the rear, so it's all kind of symmetrical for my OCD ass. But basically, I want the valve in front of the racing symbol here on the face, so in this area. So all right, let me put this together. Okay, so I have the first 5 bolts installed, and I used the impact gun to pull them down pretty close. So I got the next 5 ready to go with my impact. So what I'm doing is I'm equally spacing. I'm using the spokes, so I kind of have an even pattern. So I'm just going down, picking a spot, and doing the same one in relation to the pattern all the way around. I'm alternating sides when I use the impact, but just trying to get an even distribution. So I'm not just putting all the bolts on one side and just working my way around, because then the lip would get pulled down awkwardly. So yeah, let's hit it. Yo, what's up? All right, so we fast forward a couple steps, more like 10. The last time you saw me, I was torquing up the rim bolts, all 32 per rim, in my living room, and we finished that up. And I got these tires. I found them on eBay, super cheap. They're I mean, they're not a brand I've ever used before. It's a Maxxis tire, but it's the right size, 275 35 18. Got these mounted yesterday, which was Friday. Dropped them off, took them to the tire shop. They had these mounted up real quick, and I just brought them here to the shop, where I just gave them a fresh wash. You know, when you mount tires, they get all that kind of sticky, it's like a tire lubricant or something for mounting the tires. So I was trying to get all that off the lips and the insides. And yeah, so mounted balance, here are our Panasport G7 C5C2s. I'm super happy with how they came out. The refinishing process was freaking long, but I mean, these things are fucking pretty. Let's see if I don't want to break down the entire cost, but I paid 900 pounds for the rims. I got the tires for 228, brand new. I had to pay 100 pounds to polish the lips, painted the centers, paid 100 pounds to do that. So all in, like I said, it's 1428 plus my time doing these bolts up and what have you. But when you really think about what these cost in refinish form, in the States especially, I think this is highway robbery. I'm so happy with how they came out, and I was able to get a set of 18 by 10.5 all around for the GTR, Witcher GTR fitment. So this should look really cool. So I'm gonna do a little test fit on the front just to see how we look. I know the car's still in the air, so I might drop it today and see if we put that in the video. But nonetheless, this is the completion of the wheel refinishing project that you guys have been along for the ride on, and I can't be happier. So let me know what you think about these. Just a little quick test fit. I don't have any lug nuts, or else I would actually drop the car to see how it sat, but I ended up throwing out all the old lug nuts. So these fronts were actually GTR fit, so they were made for the brembos, plenty of clearance. Behind the upright, I have about an index finger's worth of space between the tire and the upright, so that's about okay. They are a bit on the sunken side, I would say. As soon as the thing drops, you'll see it's probably going to be sunk up under the fender. Maybe I'll add a 5 mil, not much more than that. It will be a very functional set if I keep it that way. You know, it's not going to be all like super duper crazy. So I kind of anticipated making this car into I guess a functional car that looked good, rather than a stand stout, slam to the ground GTR. It still would be fucking low, but I'm gonna make sure that it's drivable. So yeah, not bad. Looked pretty cool. For some reason I didn't notice this, but after washing the wheels just now, the lips get kind of cloudy. They're not sealed on purpose because I wanted to be able to polish them out. So taking the mother's Powerball to them brings them right back out, but I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to do that every single time I wash my fucking rims. So I'm hoping that's not the case. Maybe I'll apply a wax. There might be a wheel wax or something to keep the water stains away and keep from dulling the finish. Nonetheless, here we are. Not bad.